Okay, so we have our first egg of the season. Super exciting. This particular egg comes from Dorian and Flora. So I'm going to talk you through a little bit about eggs, weighing, marking, kind of everything that I do stepwise. You need to adjust to whatever is going to work for you, but this is how I manage my eggs. First of all, nice beautiful egg. So this is, again, first egg of the season. This is coming from 2-year-old girl Flora. It's a little bit oblong, but it's a decent shape. In all likelihood, I don't expect the first egg to be fertilized, but I do know that Dorian and Flora have been mounting for about 2 weeks. So, I mean, it's possible, but I want to continue to see what comes out of her, because again, I think this egg is a little more oblong, a little more tapered down in this end that we don't necessarily like. Now, that being said, I collect my eggs every day so that they do not get overly dirty. I do have sand in my pit and hay. So yeah, I mean, this has been sitting here all day. But it's not bad. I basically wipe off any gook with a paper towel and then call that done. If an egg sits out for, more of a day or, is near a water source or something, I won't I'll collect them, but I'll throw those ones away. I just don't like my eggs getting too dirty. There's too much of a risk of bacteria getting into them and contaminating good, viable eggs. So once you collect every single day, you want to make sure that you store your eggs point down. So these are just little baskets I got from Dollar Tree. I did get a rack this year, so I can always move them to there. But let's take a minute and talk about candling and weighing tools. Okay, so in front of you, these are 2 different scales that I have bought. There's also the standard kind of kitchen scale that you can use. If you find one you like, by all means, use it. You don't need to buy anything specialized. I don't like my kitchen scale, so I don't use it for this process. I also only use a scale for my eggs, so like I don't take it back into my kitchen and use it for other things. Now, last year, I thought this was going to be super cool. I looked up an egg weighing scale, and look, it says egg weigh scale, but I did not pay attention, or it wasn't on the picture. 150 gram capacity. So this is really for chicken and duck eggs. This will not work for most of your average goose eggs, so don't spend your money on this. Okay? Now what I use is this little bad boy. It is actually a resin scale, because I do craft as well, so I'm always looking at different ways to do things. So, but this works really well. It is tiny, and it's got a nice little case that I can protect over it. I usually just put like a hairband down, and then I'll tear it out, and then we'll weigh the egg. Oop, tear. Okay, so it appeared that my unit needed batteries, so it was telling me, but I didn't know how to tell. So, okay, so you can see I have the rubber band on there. I've got my unit teared out. So her egg is 187.95 grams, which is great because last year she was laying about 130 grams. So this is already a better egg than the first year. And I'm going to go through that here in a second as well. Okay, so now I have marked up my egg, and here's what I'm going to show you my steps. So I sort by what breeding pen they're in. So Dorian has a basket, Severon has a basket, and Mac has a basket. Now, on my egg, I put D and F because I know this is Dorian and Flora's egg. Whoops. So I'm doing batch 1 of 1. I put the date that I collected the egg to 125, even though it was laid yesterday, and I put the weight on it, and I'm going to store it pointy side down. So yes, at this point I could put it in the green rack, but for right now, we're just going to leave them in the baskets until I have enough eggs. Now I do write in pencil on my eggs. I've never had a problem with it disappearing. I have tried, you do want something non-toxic. You don't want to use like a Sharpie or something. I've tried washable markers in the past, but with the cooling and the misting cycle, washable markers obviously erode and erase over time. So pencil is really kind of the best bet. So that's everything about the egg that I can think of. Now, I'm going to collect for 7 to 10 days. I usually set my eggs on Friday based off of good advice from a friend, because if you're doing everything right, for the most part, you should have gosling hatching on the 28th day. So if I set them on a Friday, then I have the weekend to watch them and to see them hatch and enjoy it versus trying to balance my work life and my gosling life. So that was a really great tip that was given to me, and so I'm passing it on to you. So this egg will now sit until next Friday, and then we will set it with whatever else we have. And I will basically be checking for fertilization in the eggs. So we can candle about 5 to 7 days. Typically recommendation is 7 to 10 days if you're not experienced. But I've been able to pretty well tell by day 5 with only a handful of eggs needing to wait until day 7. So as we get more eggs going this year, I will talk about first year layers versus second year layers. So I mentioned that last year, Flora was laying in the 130 gram range. And it's probably in some of my videos from last year on weighing. But again, you really want your egg to be a nice round slash, this kind of shape. I have concerns that this is maybe a little more pointy. And again, since it's first egg, usually they come out a little weird. Now, you do not have to weigh your eggs. But I like to learn new things, and I like to hone in on what's happening. So because I weigh my eggs, I actually know which girl they're coming out of. So Dorian's other girl, Angel, she typically lays in the 150 to 160 gram range. So Flora's already making bigger eggs than her, and I'll be able to tell them apart for the season now. Last year I kind of just had to watch when they were laying. So now first year layers, I know out in nature, geese have more geese all the time. They don't care how old the girls are. But here's the thing. Your first year eggs, it's not about the girls not producing eggs well enough. It's about the gosling's ability to get out of the egg. So if you have a very oblong shaped egg, or an egg that's, only 100 grams, it's a tinier egg, and they are going to struggle to get in position and to pip out. And I don't want to have to go through the trauma of, rooting for an egg for 28 days and then have it die a day later because it can't hatch or because it can't thrive. So that's a me thing. You do you. If you want to try to do it, if you're experienced enough, you may have better luck, but I choose to not hatch first year eggs. That's the way I am. So the other thing we can talk about is candling. So this is a very common model. This is the Magic Fly. I have an old one, so it has a battery pack as opposed to a battery storage in the thing. This is a nice, inexpensive candler. You can absolutely use it. It has a little rubber thing, so all you have to do is turn it on and place it against the bottom of the egg and the rounder part of the egg, I should say, and then you can candle. So I also have this Brincia one. It is definitely more expensive, but it's super useful for me because if I'm doing videos, I can actually set the egg on here and go a little more hands-free and feel more confident versus trying to juggle holding the flashlight and the egg and the phone and talk all at the same time. It's an overload. Now, when you go to candle, don't go shaking your egg all around. You want to hold it up against the rounder part of the egg. And so you can see there's almost no air cell in here right now because it's a fresh laid egg. So that is what it is. The reason that you want to know, so your air cell should always grow on this side, and that's why I do the markings in the middle of my eggs versus on the wide end of the eggs, because that's where eventually my pencil marks will go as the air cell develops. So that is everything I do to prep my eggs for incubation.